for 74 weeks. I have been doing the beer review for this is week number 166.
What? Wow. Are you getting a few people watching?
Nope.
That's such dedication.
But I don't care. This is I say this I say this to
I know
Ian
you don't care.
as well, that I'm like we would sit around and drink beer at each other anyway.
That's right.
Oh, why isn't that one moving? Oh wait,
Are we starting with Millstone?
well, no. Oh, actually, yeah. Because it doesn't look like a sea level beer, you know. But it's
Totally.
So that
I'll
one's
grab that one.
the 4% one, and then the 5% one, and then the 5.5% one. So you work your way up. But applied
So you traditionally do?
Okay.
Based on the percentage?
Yeah. And I mean, we don't really. I couldn't tell you whether that was the right way to do things.
There's no rules, man.
There's none whatsoever. What's the last thing I'm gonna do is hit the share button, and then I'm gonna pop that over here in stupid Facebook. But Jerry and I are live with some beers from the Annapolis Valley. Dot. It was a good idea. I really like this idea, and it's too bad that Brennan couldn't be here tonight.
I know.
There, throw down over there, because that it would have been cool, and I'm more than impressed that it was just a stupid idea. I thought, oh, wouldn't it be kind of cool to talk to different tour people.
Yeah.
And I was more than impressed when you said, "Oh yeah, you know, Bren's a great guy. I talk to him all the time. I'd love to talk to him." And I went, "That's so amazing. You know, that's just it speaks a lot to your character. It speaks a lot to the tour itself." I
work with him. You know.
Because
he's a gentleman.
You mentioned it once or twice before that you kind of toss business each other's way, and that is definitely the way it should be. I am gonna wait. Yes. Let's make sure. Let's get down to business. So we drink the beer. What are you munching on there? Are you getting down and dirty into supper time, I guess? So we are technically live. We are technically recording. It's all good. So I will start with the traditional opening. I am Ross. Joining me tonight is Jeremy of Where It's At Tours. We'll get into that. And together, despite the fact that no wine is being consumed, we are attempting to drink Nova Scotia Dry. The reason I mentioned, well, oh God, is this gonna be a long story? No, because you've been on the show before, and I've tried to go through. We've known each other for a great many number of years, but Jeremy has been a host on the wine tour, the Magic Winery bus, the double decker that rattles around. I always say rattle because, oh my God, I've been on that bus.
It does rattle.
It rattles. Whoo boy, especially since they put in those new speed bumps. But it rattles around the Annapolis Valley. And after a number of years, Jeremy asked me if I wanted to come on. And now I think I have more shifts than you these days because Jeremy has also moved on to his own tour company, where it's at tours.ca.
.com, I believe. Yeah, where it's at.
One of the two. .ca costs more. Don't worry about that. You don't have to tell me about how costs work. But Ian is not here tonight, so I invited Jeremy to come back on the show, and then we talked of, hey, we could even see if there's another friend of Jeremy, someone who I have not met yet, was going to tonight, but he was not available. Brennan, no man, what's his last name?
Oh, Brennan Vintage Vino. I think Vintage Vino is actually his last two names.
Oh,
Brennan Vintage.
Okay. Of his own touring company, we were gonna talk about the Annapolis Valley and wine touring and or brewery touring, but specifically with the wine tours, Jeremy suggested, well, why don't we find out what beers are available at the wineries that you stop at? And I thought that's just so crazy chaotic it could work. And the only problem with that was when you go to a winery and you want to talk to people about beer, they don't want to talk to you. they they did not care at all that I wanted to
It's just
know
you, man.
what beers were available. They're like, "What? I don't know that." And they kind of point at this dusty corner and say, "Good. No, ask us about our dry whites. Shut up, you crazy person." And again, I was definitely, for a read the room situation, I never should have asked a winery about their beers, but I did, and we found some, and I'm excited about this because even one of them's even new for this season, and so these are beers
Glitchy.
that let's see, Luckett's and Domaine de Grand Pré. So Luckett's Vineyard in the Gaspereau Valley, Domaine de Grand Pré, and oh man, come on, help! What was I doing? Benjamin Bridge? Nope.
Benjamin Bridge?
I don't think they have anything. No, it was Luckett's, Lightfoot, and Wolfville. And I asked Le Caveau, but they didn't really know.
Well, they do have beer there at Le Caveau as well, but you found 3 local brews. So we got a Church Brew, and we have a Millstone Harvest, and a Horton Malt Shop.
Yeah.
And I don't know where the Horton Malt Shop is served at one of the wineries,
You know what?
I'm
Two
going
of them.
with what you said.
2 Horton Ridge are on tap at Luckett Vineyards, which is interesting because at Lightfoot and Wolfville, when I asked, they said, "No, we don't have our taps set up yet. We're going outside next week. We're going to get it all set up." I said, "Oh, okay." I was just wondering, do you have any in cans? "Oh yeah, we got some in cans." And then they let me know that they still had the Church Married to the Sea Porter is in. They still have some cans of that. Who was telling me when I went in to buy the Summer Crush up at the Millstone Harvest Brew House, they said, now was it Luckett's or Lightfoot and Wolfville? They said they went through, we gave them 20 cases and they went right through them. Just
Flew through.
Yep.
Okay.
flew through.
Well, because not everyone's down with wine. Like, they like wine as well, but give people options, especially having lunch. A lot of guys that I have on tour sometimes, they, they don't want to do the wine all day, so mix it up a little bit.
I envy, I do it anyway, but obviously being the guide on a wine tour, I am probably supposed to push the wine a little bit more than anything else, but I also like to be there if someone says, "Hey, do you know if they have a beer on tap?" I'll say, "Yes, they do. It's right over here. Come on." And you sort of you are there to answer all the questions and whatnot, but you are at the benefit where you're not there for one specific role. It's like, this is a wine day and it will be all wine. When the wine bus started going to the brewer, we started including the Millstone Harvest Brew House for something interesting. We stopped at a winery, and then we stopped at the brewery, and then when we left that, someone in the back said, "Does that mean we're going to a distillery next?" And I went,
Well, we could.
that's an idea. It's thematic in a different way. Like, what is ultimate diversity day? You go to a winery, you go to a brewery, you go to a...
Well, hey, I've had days where it's that, and they want to taste the rainbow. So we throw in Barreling Tide Distillery, which is in Port Williams.
Yeah, okay.
And they do a really great experience there. The tour tasting that's offered, they'll take you into their distiller, and they'll talk about all their big expensive machines, and then they'll go out, and they've done a good job in the retail, adding another tasting bar.
It's too bad.
Yeah, you get some tastes.
The Robinson's dispensary factory place there in Kentville, they shut down operations because you could really run the gauntlet there.
Well, we added a cidery then to that day, the ones that want to taste the rainbow. So you can do winery, brewery, distillery, cidery. And then if you really want to get fancy, go to the Tangle Gardens, and they do liqueurs. So technically, the Tangle Gardens in Grand Pré is Nova Scotia's oldest distillery, because Beverly's been making liqueurs for like 35 years or whatever. And the Tangle Gardens, by the way, wonderful little spot, little hidden gem. Those that know. Have you been there ever?
I have. Oh, yeah.
Recently?
Not
okay.
recently.
Yeah,
It's
you
probably
know.
been about 4 years. Since
Well,
I
they
walked
make
the
good
gardens.
products.
I certainly drove past.
I worked with them a little bit. There was an article in this current Grapevine, last Grapevine, I forget now. And where it's at, I always do for the local libations issue. I focus on local beverages, and so this time it was like, hey, what can we do with some of the Tangle Garden products?
I obviously shouldn't be involved in the local beverages part because I couldn't even think of 4 liquids. I ran out after the whiskey.
The cider.
I don't know.
That's
Smoke
big
some
one here.
weed. Why don't you go with that instead?
You mentioned the Robinsons, though. You mentioned the Robinsons. Andrew did reacquire the big green barns right by Millstone Heart, or right by Horton Malt Shop in Grand Pré.
Yeah.
So he does have one of them full of plants, and the other one I think is going to be full of plants. And I would imagine this year you're going to see outdoor plants in the protected fence area, big barbed wire all around it. So it's going to be a big outdoor grow. And so that's part of the joke with Exit 10, because Horton Malt Shop's right there, and the Tango Garden's just down the road, and then the wineries and the Just Us Coffee is right there as well. So you go to Exit 10 for your beer and your coffee and your Robinson Cannabis and your Tango Garden liqueurs and your wine. So get all your vices at Exit 10, right?
I do like that. And one of the things that I often point out, especially on the bus, is I point out the blue signs, which I think are Tourism Nova Scotia signs. And often...
I think businesses have to pay a pretty penny to have those blue signs on the road because it's marketing, like it's year-round marketing. But yeah,
it's true.
It's a lot of them.
But I mean, holy cow, they around here, especially this part of the valley, there's just this way to this vineyard, this way to that vineyard, and that way to that vineyard, and they're all just total vineyards. Every now and then you see one for an eagle watch or a museum, but for the most part, it's holy cow. There's vineyards and wineries and breweries. And
here's a question, Mr. Wine Tour Guide: how many wineries within a 22-minute drive of Wolfville?
I asked you this 3 weeks ago. Because I'd been saying, I think I'd been saying 12, but you corrected me that it's 10 with the 11th one is opening.
Well, no, it's 11 with 12 going to open.
Okay.
Probably not this year, maybe next year. The 12th one, the newest one, is going to be called Horton Ridge Winery. That's Shaji and Yana. They're up on the Wolfville Ridge, hence the name.
Be real careful not to call it the Wolf Widge.
Wolf Ridge, yeah, exactly.
Wolf Widge Winery.
So they're a lifestyle park.
I asked you the name 3 years ago because and we've been announcing it's on its way, and everyone says what's that one going to be called, and you feel so smart. You're like, well, I happen to know this information. I am in the I run with the right circles, etc., and it's called I'm saying it's tentatively called the Wolf Ridge Winery because that's its current location. So potentially they might come out with something crazy. How come? I
think they might have their first vintage this year, actually. They're not going to open to the public, but they might actually release their first vintage, which would be pretty cool.
How come wineries... I mean, wine is starting to name itself interesting things. Domaine de Grand Pré, they've got their conversation water, which I think is,
that goes back to Prohibition days.
That cheeky, adding a little bit of a humor and cheeky side of things. But for the most part, it's all very serious, very flat. And here is Planters Ridge. Here is Belominen Estate Winery. Here, and Luckett's Reserve. And I mean, the Phone Box Red is probably the most silly name that they've got. Whereas over here, you've got a brewery out, just out north of Halifax, the Good Robot Brewery with the, 10,000 pound pills. They've got crazy cartoon pictures all over it. And I forget what the Japanese, the Mayoko Yoko, but they're all named stuff like, punch you in the face, lager, and fun things like that. But wine doesn't do that.
And violence, they don't tend to, wine and violence, it's a genre that could happen. I'm not saying you can't.
Not with that attitude. No, you gotta be the change.
But you might want to be a little bit more refined, perhaps. That's what you're trying to get at. Fun fact with one of the names at Luckett's, they had, I got to get this right now, they had one called the Black Cab. And you might notice they don't have Black Cab anymore because it won an award at some point. And when you win awards, you get attention brought your way. And so Dan Aykroyd in Ontario has a winery, and he has Black Cab. And I guess he's got the name rights. And so one day, a few years back now, Luckett's got a letter, cease and desist, from Dan Aykroyd, of all people, Ghostbusters, and said, you got to change name, man. We own this name. So that's why it's the Old Bill instead of the Black Cab. So there's a lot to be said for names.
Perfect opportunity to name your wine the Stinky Dan.
Again, Luckett's, what are you thinking, right?
Exactly.
Like, in the face, Stinky Dan.
I'm not saying that I have the best ideas. I'm just saying I should be consulted on every creative name of an alcoholic beverage going forward. That's all.
What I'm wondering about, because you told me some numbers before we went live, how long you've been doing this. And so are you beginning to feel like you are a little bit of a local like authority when it comes to Nova Scotian microbrews and beers? Like, where's your knowledge base and your confidence level at?
This is the thing that you learn about adulthood as you grow older. It's not about being smart. It's about having tried everything. So you're not, there's a different, it's where they say it's the difference between wisdom and intelligence. Wisdom is, oh, I've done that and it didn't work. I've done that and it didn't work. I've done that and it did work. And that way, it doesn't make you the smartest person in the world, but if you've tried a bunch of stuff and you know what will or will not happen, if you have a lot of experiences and a lot of stories and a lot of anecdotes, you just seem like you know what you're talking about. But today, I was still looking up the difference between cream ale, lager, and pilsner. I still don't know. I don't know what the difference is between these things. I should start making beer myself, probably get into it, and that would teach me. I should go and take like courses and go become a
get Patrick Murphy to come teach you. He's good at beer making. You know, Patrick.
Busy all the time. I ask him to come in here and he's all like, no, I'm busy doing this. He's fencing these days. He's sending me all these pictures of him going fencing. It's all these people and their wackadoodle non-beer related hobbies. That's the problem. But the short answer is no. I don't feel like an expert. All I feel like is someone who has tried a lot. So what I take from that is I've tried a lot of beers, and it's done is tell me what I like personally.
Okay.
And kind of a bit of an idea as to what different things taste like. So someone says, hey, you know what? I tried this beer and I really liked it. And I can say, I can name 4 others that taste just like that, or maybe a little bit more sweeter side, or more maltier side. I can give suggestions to lead people in different directions. And that's where my happiness is. Because I got a good buddy, and we were at a mutual friend's wedding. This was last fall. And we're standing around, and he says, oh, no, they don't have what I like. And I said, well, what are you talking about? He says, oh, I like Oland Export and occasionally the Stella Artois. And I said, okay, well, let's fix this right now. What do you like about those things? And he told me what he liked about them. And I said, all right, be right back. And I went to see what there was. And I think I brought him
my beer.
I brought him a can of a blonde ale, one of my favorite blonde ales in the province, a couple of weeks later. And he loved it. And I introduced him to I think it's Good. Good Robot's got the El Diablo, the Espinazo. No, wait. I'm going to get all my Spanish wrong. Basically, it's Spanish for the spine of the devil. And it's a jalapeno lager. Where it actually
you don't get that in wine so often.
Spicy, and he drinks that all the time now. So it's the kind of thing of, if I introduce people to something that they've never heard of or tried before, and now it's their go-to beer, that's a little bit of a okay, yay! I helped my friends find something tasty that they like consistently.
If you're gonna drink, you might as well drink some local stuff, and if you can get them away from the Stella. Right? Like, I enjoy the macro as well, sure, but life's short, and you don't have time for bad coffee. You don't have time for bad alcohol. So local options, they're good. I'm a big homer. I'm a big biased guy. I'll be the first to admit that. Go us. But there's a lot of truth to it. When you put your dollars into the local economy, whether you're buying it directly from the brewery or winery or liquor store, you're helping, right? Like, so on that note, we should help, Ross. Are we getting into this?
We're helping. We're getting into it. So there's usually a long conversation involved. But Sea Level Brewing out of Millstone Harvest Brew House up in Sheffield Mills. They are currently closing their Sea Level shop in Port Williams, but everything is still available. There's still Sea Level and there's still a Millstone Harvest Brew House. But they have introduced this season the Summer Crush Blonde Ale, popping in at 4%. In a 355 milliliter can, which is funny because I've got a 20-ounce Millstone. It might fill it to half. Now, it's a gorgeous can. I do love it. It's got this bright sunny, blue sky whole way around. This beautiful little thing. It's unlike any of their other cans. So I feel like this.
Yeah, it looks totally different than their branding.
I think Millstone is finally allowing themselves to say, all right, we're not what we were before, because they moved operations from Port Williams up to Sheffield Mills to the Millstone Harvest Brew House. They kept.
I bumped into Randy today.
They bumped everything. They kept everything else, but
They're almost all out of Port Pub. Almost all out of that. That's what Randy was saying. They're very, very close to being completely out of there. But it was worked out so well for them. It was a wonderful partnership for many years.
Oh,
What,
heck yeah.
the website says like 17 years ago. 2007. Randy opened up Sea Level alongside the Port Pub Bistro Port Williams, and that was the beginning of a 17-year partnership with them. But now that they were bought out by the family there, Nicole Harvey and her family.
Yes.
Then they made their brand new facility. Would you call that canning, or is it steam mill? Sheffield Mills.
It's the address
That's
is right
right.
here on the can. You got to read the fine print. It's all right there.
Oh yeah, well, I was getting distracted by the waves. Only 4% too, so it's nice and light. I actually got a glass so I can pour it in so people can see what it is we're drinking. Right?
That's the plan. That's where we go. Now, it doesn't worry me slightly, but I didn't talk to anybody about what this one's going to taste like. I assumed and hoped that there would be some information on the website. There is not. And I assumed and hoped there would be some information on the can. There is not. However, I'm going to do my fallback that I usually land on, which is you check their Facebook page. So,
it's like you've done this before.
I mean, looking up information, trying to find information about Valley businesses. I mean, you've probably done the same thing. No one really does the digital information thing.
What are you talking about? You can find info, but on this particular product, we might be in tight. Who knows? Are we going to cheers? I want to drink.
Well, I'm
thirsty, Ross. I'm thirsty.
Including results for
Summer Crush. It's Summer Crush. I would imagine because to crush it, it's only 4%, so it's not gonna hit you as fast, I guess. Summer Crush.
All right, I'm gonna go to the Millstone Harvest page and then search within this for summer breeze. Makes me feel high. There it is. Okay. It looks like patio weather. What better way than checking out our Summer Crush, a classic thirst-quenching North American style light beer, the perfect thing to keep you cool. A classic North American style light beer. So this is probably just going to be like a basic lager. It smells a lot like a Toller Gold, like a really good lager. It's got a beautiful golden kind of smell to her. What say you?
I see on their Facebook they have 2 new releases, this being one of them. The other one's called the Fundy Fog Hazy IPA.
And I don't think that one was at the locations. So I didn't think that was the can or on tap at the wineries. They didn't mention that.
I didn't really look. I just followed your directions. You said
I was at the wineries that day, so I asked since I happened to be there. Cough on the bus.
All right, hey, this is our first. Have you had any yet? Are you trying this or what?
Giving it a smell.
Right.
It smells nice. I'm looking forward to this. Cheers.
Cheers, buddy. Thanks for inviting me. I couldn't stop drinking until the host stopped drinking. That went.
Oh man, no, Ian doesn't do that. He finishes and starts saying, wow, yum." But I like to get a good few 3 or 4 gulps in there. That is light. That is definitely light.
It is on the lighter spectrum, yes.
However, tasty.
Yep. Not offended by it. Absolutely not.
That is, if you want to be a light blonde ale, you could do a heck of a lot worse. I've had some ungood blonde ales over the years. This is obviously not going to be my favorite, but it's a whole percent down. You are going to want to sit around. I mean, I think the word crush is there for a reason. 4%, you will crush this. It's a 355 ml can. We're on small cans tonight for the most part. And yeah, you crush this.
I almost feel like you could like this could be a base. Like you could add something to this actually. Like I don't know what you'd be adding because I'm no barista. I'm no bartender. Well, but I almost feel like it's just a nice subtle. We welcome other flavors. That's what I'm thinking.
A touch of lemon, a touch of lime. This is a very bar lime kind of lager and lime would go well. But what I find lime is usually best for is it cuts that unwelcome taste of a not very good lager. Cough, Corona, and. Everyone's like, "Oh, Corona's not that bad. You just have to put a lime into it." And I said, "Well, anything that you have to add an ingredient to make it not unpalatable, that's not a good product. I'm sorry. It's just not.
Double doubles are so popular. Tim Horton says you can't drink that stuff black. I am 100% honest with that
Agreed.
assessment.
Yep.
You want good coffee? You drink it black.
Yeah.
Right.
So it on its own, this is still good. Could you zazz it up a little with maybe a bit of bar lime? Sure. Honestly, I would probably. We've had some really strong imperial stouts. I would cut it with that, and then all of a sudden it's no longer an 11% stout when you drink it. Hopefully not so much, but it's just,
there's no rules.
No, it's nothing. Ian likes.
I do find that the guests on the wine bus, they really do like going to Millstone, right? Because Millstone is a estate brewery, and often we go to Millstone after we go to the Blomidon Estate Winery. And do people ever ask you what the word estate means, Ross?
Nope, I have to, but I always bring up the story because when you're going from a winery to a brewery, you need to link it up somehow. And
Absolutely.
So I tell people, when we come away from Blomidon Estate, I said, did they explain to you what an estate winery is? I said, oh yes, they told us this. It's you have to have your ingredients that have more than 80% of your ingredients are from.
I think that's what it is at a winery. Yeah, you try to be as self-sufficient as possible
on the premises. But Blomidon Estate Winery, they boast 95% of the ingredients all right there on the premises. They grow all their own. And I said
between the two plots,
Yep. And I said, so that links us with our second stop, the Millstone Estate Brewery, which is the same thing. It is an estate brew. So everyone's kind of following you with, oh yeah, estate. We just learned that word. And they're following you along. Because of the confusion, the rest of it. But wait, the second word you said sounds kind of unfamiliar. What is a brewery? What is this? And so I say, so it's the only, I think I confirmed this with them. It does say on their can, they're updating their cans for information. It's the first estate brewery in Nova Scotia. And as of now, they're still the only estate brewery in Nova Scotia. So
I think that makes sense.
They grow their hops, they grow their barley, and everyone's saying, oh, how interesting. Okay, yeah, a hop, I've heard of that. And then I said, and you are also in luck because next door, there are fruit farms that grow Arctic kiwis, raspberries, and cranberries. And that's what they have on tap as their ciders. And then you see the wine lover's eyes glow. Ooh, cider. Ooh, they perk right up.
Yeah.
And then they go in and they really, really enjoy it. But I have to lead them there. It's a bit of a tug on the rope, getting the horse to water.
There's wine. There's like a big difference, a chasm between the beer and wine products, but that cider's a nice little bridge between the two to some degree. It's more, in my opinion, on the beer side, but people do love a good cider. And Millstone also does seltzers. People are into, so you can get a full flight at Millstone that's not even beer, which is kind of cool.
And I'm still every time I go in, I tell pretty much everyone on the staff, Nicole especially, I say, you need to put in what I keep telling people on the when we get there. I said, ask for the wine lovers flight, which is 3 ciders and the blueberry pale ale, which is gorgeous.
Oh, okay.
It's just that's what I suggest. But no, they mix and match because there's so many ciders, and you're right, there's seltzers as well, and people kind of mix and match and make their own. But the wine lovers flight looks way different than the flight I would get if I was there. In fact, what I was a little concerned about tonight, the Summer Crush, the new one. Do you know what else they've got on tap up at Luckett's? And I'm so impressed by this. They have the Blue Heron ESB.
Oh, from Sea Level.
From Sea Level. It's one of their flagships. They've had it since before the move, and we've never drank it.
Oh, that's what you figured out today.
No, I've known that for a while, but I've been bugging I've been bugging Nicole and her husband Joe, and I say, can you please? I want to talk to Sea Level on this show. And they say, oh, we're busy. Maybe we'll do it next week. So I need to get Joe on the show, and when I finally do land Joe and or Nicole on this show, then we will finally drink the ESB. Then we will talk about it, and I will.
You got to save something. Got to save something for the big hitters, sir, because they do know their stuff. Nicole and Joe, they're really good people.
Oh, they're awesome, and I love telling the family story of Millstone Harvest Brew House as well.
And so it's Millstone Harvest Brewhouse makes sea level beer. So when we say sea level to Millstone, we're talking about the same place, which is a little confusing. But again, Randy started the name sea level because right at the Port Pub and the tides with the Cornwallis River go up and down 50 feet there. So sea level made a lot of sense. But now that Millstone Harvest Brewhouse is on the family farm, it's a little off of the water. But they already had grown the brand to sea level.
Sea level anymore, yeah. And I'm glad they kept the brand, because this is what I shouted at the guys down in Sackville at the Great Roads Brewery, because they switched hands and then they said, oh, we don't want to be Old Biddies anymore. And I said, but Old Biddies it's been in the LC, it's established. You guys are a thing. They're like, no, we're gonna change it and do this. And, if you want to throw all that out,
we're gonna look for the Old Biddies. And don't do that.
Throw all that good vibes out, fine. I'll know who you are, but it's kind of I thought it was a weird situation to make.
What's in a name? A lot's in a name.
Yeah. Oh, you get once, and especially once it's established. So it's kind of weird seeing the two companies do something different with, we've changed hands. Wayfarers recently changed hands as well. Changed management entirely. Sticking with the Wayfarers.
What do you know about Wayfarers? Because that's another one of the locals. When we talk about 11 surrounding wineries around Wolfville, there's actually 6 surrounding breweries, and all 3 that we do today are part of that 6. But Wayfarers is another part of that 6, and I know that they were selling. What do you know to that? I was told that maybe Propeller was looking at buying them, but I don't think that was the case in the end.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I heard. Rumors, right? Small town.
It was not a buyout. It was basically a rearrangement of the investors, almost. Where, let's say, 7 people. I am making numbers up completely because I might not know the entire story. 7 people all decide to start a thing. They want to start, let's start a brewery, blah, blah, blah. And then you make one of them your figurehead, your person in charge. And then that person, say, invests in stuff out west and is kind of focused on different business aspects. And the other 6 say, hey, would you mind if some of the rest of us took over, because I feel like we want to focus more on this business? And then the 7 says, that's fine. I'm busy building skyscrapers in Seattle. And said, oh, cool. So then they just rearrange who's at the head of the ship.
Okay. So that's what happened at Wayfarers?
That's pretty much what happened. Yeah.
And their new release is going to be called Seattle Skyscraper. Is that the new release of their next beer, Seattle Skyscrapers?
They put a couple things out, but the thing that excited me, I can't give away all the secrets, because I am hopefully talking to the new owners and the new brewers, because they brought in some new brewers as well. And did I meet Matt?
Wait, is Pete still there? Is Pete still there?
Pete has not been there in, I would have to say, nearly at least 8 months was the last time that he was there.
Well, he was so good with my guests, by the way. Pete was when I brought guests in, he would tour everyone. He was so proud of what was going on there. So anyway, that's news to me.
And the funny thing there is, because I was talking to him about what's going on at Wayfarers, and he said, "Oh, I'm not there anymore." I said, "Oh, that's too bad." And then about 2 months later, we talked to Old Biddies, and they had switched hands, and we talked to the new brewer, Rob, also a really outstanding guy. And while we were talking to him, he said, "Do you know anybody that might be interested in working and being like an assistant brewer at a place?" And I said, I might. And I reached out to Pete Adams, and I said, "Listen, I know you were the guy, you were the head brewer. Would you be interested in coming on and being a part of Great Roads?" And I said, "I know it's a little
bit
far.
of a drive too.
Sackville's a little, it's a little ways down there." He said,
"It's not as far as downtown."
And he said it's outside the area that he wants to work within. And I said, "Yeah, totally understand." So I hope he lands on more beer making, because I sampled a few of his projects that he was making over in the corner at a time. Sure. And so good, very, very smooth. So I think he's got the chops to make some good stuff, and I would love to see some more stuff come from Pete himself. And
a couple more fun things about Millstone, though. I really like their vibe that they got created. Like they have the food truck there that they bring in on the weekends, and sometimes they have weddings there. So the big tent goes in the front, and they have games like washer toss and, I don't know, what's it called? Cornholing. I think they got some cornholes.
They did a pet market, sort of like how they do like a farmer's market kind of thing, but they had a market for and vendors for pet stuff. Like it's all dog walking and dog like nutritional things.
Okay.
And we took our dog to it. It was really cool. They do some interesting, very creative events out there. So I do
Was
like
it
going.
was it Millstone who did the beer, a doggy beer? No, it wasn't Millstone, was it?
Nope, they are one of the two
Was it?
that had a doggy beer available. Our dog didn't like it.
Yeah.
But she's
some dogs
small.
say
We got a small, lightweight dog. She's not going to take that kind of thing. She needs
she's not 18 yet.
that too. God, yeah. How many people got an 18-year-old dog?
19.
That beer, the Sea Level, the blonde, the crushable blonde, it did everything that it said it should do. It was a crushable, classic North American beer. It tasted like a really, really tasty lager, little light on the flavor, but I think that's what you're supposed to do if you're coming in at 4%. So for light beer, I think it nailed it. I gotta say that is, for what that is presenting as, that is definitely a 9 out of 10 for me.
I'm not going 9. No, not going 9. Like it's fine. Again, it just to me it's a little lacking. I've had other blondes that have a little bit more going on, but it's doing what exactly you said, doing what it's
supposed to be light. That's just it. I'm trying not to give it a hard time for being a little light on flavor because it's a Diet Pepsi's not going to taste like a Pepsi. It's just not.
I'm going as high as like a 7-1 on it, and full number scores. I've been watching a lot of Dave Portnoy with his pizza reviews. If you do the full like 9.0 rookie score, that's a rookie score. You gotta do the percentage to go along with. So Ross, moving forward, I would expect a little bit more from you. You are the professional.
I was just giving it a number mostly because I have no idea how to score a light blonde ale.
Well, you just
not
did.
My favorite thing I've ever had, but what I'm giving it high marks for is doing what it presented itself as.
Okay, fair. You have done this now. You were saying to me some of the numbers. This is what, week 72, and you've been doing this for 180 somewhat. Explain those numbers again, because that's why I got the question about, are you becoming the authority? Are people beginning to recognize you? Oh, there's Ross. He knows a thing about beer. We should ask him about this or that, because you've been doing this for how long now?
3 years. 3 years ago, I just went live on Facebook and I said, "Hi, I'm Ross and this is a beer." And I was just doing that. And then after about 12 episodes, I said, I need Ian and I like to talk about beer. I'll bring Ian in. And he has just become my adopted partner. He is along for the ride as much as he always will be. But after a while, I realized that I was chopping things up, and I still am. I'm chopping the episodes up and putting them up on YouTube as like a 3 to 4 minute review of what we're drinking. But then I realized that the conversations we were having in between were, I don't know, I think they're interesting. I think I'm super interesting. I'm eloquent and loquacious as all get out.
Your mom thinks you're cool.
Exactly. So that should be enough. So then I said, well, why don't we turn this into a podcast? So after, 90 or 80 or so weeks, I said, all right, we'll switch it over and we'll be a podcast too. So then we were a podcast. So now this is the 74th episode of the podcast, releasing the entirety to the internet, but it's also the 166th episode of just being live and talking about beer.
That's incredible. That's a lot of beer. Do you feel like it's are you holding it? You're getting older now. I'm getting older too.
I
feel
a
lot of beer, a lot of bread in the belly.
I'll tell you what gets me is we joined, and we talk about it a lot. In fact, I'm talking to one of the admin of the Maritime Craft Brew page in upcoming weeks.
Oh, you are?
Oh, yeah, he's coming on the show. It's gonna be great. And
good for you. I like that.
When we go, I want to talk to everybody. That's just it. And I'm glad that people are actually responding to me. There's a couple of guys, and they do another podcast in Nova Scotia. It's called the Afternoon Pint, and they do talk about the beer, but they just go around talking to interesting people, like interesting.
Yeah. And beer's an excuse.
And having a beer with them. So I love that. And I've been trying to reach out to them and finding a time that we can get together and do that. Apparently I'm not interesting enough to have an afternoon pint with, but whatever. We drink in the evening in the valley. Oh, I'm sorry. We're a little bit more posh than some of your Halifax afternoon pint. We're still on our second cup of tea at this point. But the Facebook page, we see guys and they post, I had these beers today, and Ian and I are looking at it saying, we drink like 2 a week, and I'm thanks. I don't need more. I don't.
Well, this has been your excuse to drink. If you want to do things and have fun with it, so you enjoy having a beer or 2 a week, and so you might as well put it to podcast. But I don't think you're having 2 or 3 Nova Scotia beers every day of the week, are you?
No, I definitely am not. I mean, I have what I call my lawn mowing beers. So I like that I've been able to not curtail, collect favorites. So when I know, hey, so for my birthday last year, I said, what are you going to do on your birthday? I said, I know what I'm going to do on my birthday. I am going to go to the liquor store and pick up a 4-pack of Tatamagouche Butcher Block Red and drink it. That is what I'm going to do. And because it's one of my favorites, the most interesting, curious beers. When we have
Butcher Block Red.
Oh, yes.
Cata.
It's like a 6.2% red ale, and it's got a spice to it. So it kind of, it tastes like it would really go well with a good steak. And then we have friends outside, and we have a little, bonfire and have some music around, and I have a beer with that. But this curious exploration of beer, I feel is, I definitely couldn't do this every night. I couldn't explore beer every night. I could sit down and have a beer that I like and I'm familiar with, but I think the exploration, some of these guys, they have such an appetite for the exploration, the curiosity. I was like, I'm trying this double IPA and this sour tonight, and I went, oh my God, my brain would explode. I don't think I could handle that.
Things like, you're not trying to be anything that you're not, right? You're not trying to be the go-to Nova Scotia beer guy. Like, you're a guy who enjoys beer, who likes to talk, and who knows a little bit about the internet, who can do the technology thing, right?
So yeah, that's literally
you're not
all
trying
I'm
to be
doing.
anyone you're not.
I tell people that I was always curious about what other breweries are doing, and back when gas was affordable, my wife and I would drive around the province, and I'd say, "Oh, look, a craft brewery. Let's see what they've got." And and I would talk to them, and so interesting. And oh, look what you've got. It's a little bit different. And eventually, I would be really, really bad at remembering which ones I'd tried. So you'd go into the liquor store and say, "Have I tried that? Well, I don't know if I've tried that one or not." And then I tell people, so I did the only logical thing when I couldn't remember which craft beers I'd tried. I started a podcast and just started and that was how I could record each one that I've done. And someone says, why didn't you just do the Untapped app? And my answer is, because I hate it. I'd rather do this than just have a profile page on an Untapped app, because Ian sometimes reads off reviews from Untapped of people, and I just tear them apart. They're so bad. There's such bad reviews, because like that last one, the Sea Level Blonde Ale, I could have said, I don't like it. It's too light. Done. Does that tell you anything about that beer? Anything that's pertinent to you? You need to describe what's going on. You need to describe that it is a light flavor, but the flavor is quite palatable. You need to describe that it's a 4%, so it's not going to be as strong as some other beers. And you need to tell people what they're getting, what they're in for. If you just
that's a skill you've developed in time, because I'm not good at describing flavors. I'm not the best guest in that aspect, right? But in time, you get to know the lexicon. You get to know these descriptive, frou-frou flavor-esque things, right?
The pressure is on, because this next one, I didn't understand. I didn't understand this one, because they said this one was on tap. So here from Horton Ridge out of, I think they're technically in Grand Pré, or they're not in Hortonville, because Hortonville is. Oh my God, they're in Hortonville. It's still a village.
Well, like what is Hortonville exactly? Like, I don't think one could fully correctly define the geographical boundaries of Hortonville and Grand Pré. There's overlap. There's certainly overlap in Hortonville and Grand Pré.
Because it's got to be within Grand Pré, but yeah, Hortonville is that little bit to the east of Grand Pré that feels like it's different for some reason. They just don't want to be a French-Canadian tourist spot, so they called themselves Hortonville. I don't know, but Hortonville is the other original name for... Ooh, that's a good question. Isn't Hortonville maybe a planter's title?
Yeah, I think Hortonville. I don't think
Ooh,
the Acadians ever called a
I
Hortonville.
don't
I don't
know.
think. No.
No one heard an Acadian. Hears an Acadian. Let's do that children's novel.
It never
But
happened. No, got
so
booted out before that.
so this is on tap up at Luckett's as well,
Okay,
and
all
I
right.
was confused because it
Are you
said,
changing the background?
"Oh, I should." I was.
Because you're at Millstone now,
I am.
and
I
let's
gotta
go
switch
into
that up.
Horton.
Where's Horton? Oh God, it's in here somewhere. I think that's it.
Again, Horton is off of
No.
exit 10, so all your vices that you're searching for, go to exit 10 off of the 101 highway coming into Wolfville. It's about a 6 kilometer drive from exit 10 into town. There's no highway exit right into Wolfville, which I personally like. You got to earn your Wolfville. And that
It's
little
not
drive,
a 6
that
kilometer
6K
drive
is...
from exit 10 to Horton Ridge Malt House, though.
No, it's like
There we go.
a 100-meter drive from exit 10 to Horton. There we are. Hey,
Oh,
right on.
I was right there.
What a
with it.
spot. All right, I'm pouring this into
They
the much
need-
darker color, much
They need a
darker.
dang parking lot. That thing it's so ridiculous that they're out in the middle of
If I
nowhere.
can, though, both Horton, Malt Shop, and Millstone, if I could just explain one little beef between the both of them.
Oh.
Because I love them both. But I think that, and I love the fact that they're supporters of local music. You can go to both Millstone and Horton for shows quite often.
Uh-huh.
But they did not design their brand new buildings with live shows in mind. It was a complete afterthought, and what a missed opportunity. I love them both, but where do you put the band? At either location. You walk in and boom, there's the band. You're like walking through the band to get to the bar, and it's awkward. And that is a miss, if I could. But I love them both.
I could not agree more or louder. And I'm trying to think of, okay, is there a location? Is there a brewery I mean, I'll even extend this to the wineries. Is there a brewery / winery where live music just it just pairs perfectly with the venue?
Well, like there's no location with like an amphitheater that everything is directing towards. No, Life in a Wolfville, they beautiful music in the tent when they put it up at the back and you're looking at the music and you got Blom in the background, like that's amazing, but that's like few and far between. They don't do music there on a regular. Horton Malt Shop, however, does.
Yeah. This was a conversation, and this leads me back to my conversation with Wayfarers, and we talked about live music, and this is why I now host a afternoon acoustic jam session at Wayfarers.
Oh, do you? On what day? Saturdays?
First Sunday of the month.
First Sunday of the month. Okay. Good for you. Thanks for doing that.
From 2 to 5, doing that, and that's because we talked about amplification, and them saying, yeah, amplification, music and sound, it just sucks in here. And I said, that's why you got to just go acoustic, sit in the corner, and everyone will sing along. It's easy. I said, oh, could you do that? Fine.
Yeah. You can't have ideas, Ross, because you'll get lassoed into them.
I know.
That's to keep your mouth shut.
I talk to Hannah Clausen about this all the time. Whenever you get an idea, she says, you should do that. I said, no, I should not. Someone should take my idea and do it correctly.
Yeah. Stop having ideas,
I'm just
Ross.
the idea guy. So this one is on the Horton Ridge, and it just says on it, the Horton Ridge Malt House. The original
That's what it says.
Organic Malt
Organic
House.
Malt House.
Because... So I saw it on tap. It said, here's what's on tap up at Luckett Vineyards. It said Horton Ridge IPA and then Horton Ridge Malt House. And I went, the whole place? Like the entire establishment is on? Like, what are you saying? I don't understand what's going on. So apparently, and it just says on there, the Organic Malt House, the original Horton Ridge. But on the website, not on the, nope, not on the can. Oh, it is on the can. Here we go. A toast to the malt. This beer pays homage to our malt house, made from our 3 most highly kilned barley malts, yielding a burnished copper. The color of our malt house. Malt flavors dominate in this full, rich beer. It is definitely copper. I'll give you that. So on the website, it also says our original beer. So this is it. The malt house made the malt house. Made from our 3 most highly kilned malts, Vienna, Munich, and Cara. The beer has a rich malty flavor and a beautiful copper color. So it just says the Malt House Ale. So this one is just an ale. This is an beer. Boom. It's malty. It's copper. Go. So I love how the...
Cheers, Ross.
The descriptions of these are so basic. I love them. Cheers. Ooh. Mmm. Oh. Oh.
That has a little bit more going on, of course, than it's supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like advertised as a summer crush,
I'm
but there is
not,
much more flavor going on here.
I'm not saying that if I drank that without reading the description, that I could say, oh, there's definitely 3 malts in there. Oh, and I could definitely tell you what 2 out of 3 of them are just by name. But in drinking that, I could probably tell you that there is a complicated mix going on, because I feel like I'm getting a couple of flavors one after another. It's not one flavor the whole way through. You know what I mean?
No, it is not exactly.
So
Yeah.
you get a mouthful and it sort of says, I'm a little bit sweet, but I'm also a little bit bready, and there's a little bit of a grain kind of, and then there's this swirl of it, and it all mixes around. Holy cow, I love this.
That's
I love this
nice.
so much.
I mean, I know I've had it before, but not on a platform where I'm talking about it. And so maybe I haven't appreciated it as much as I am right now. And if this was the original, this is like one of the first ones that they did, I think they really kind of set a good standard there,
Well,
right?
I think we've only had the one other of their beers. Because again, another winery story. In visiting Mercator, there was a young guy there last year. I'm not sure if he's there this year. Alex, I think.
I think that was an Alex.
Young man.
There's always turnover at the wineries.
It's
Always great staff.
So
People come and go.
He might not be here this year, but I told this story last year because I was there with the winery, and he said, "Oh, what kind of wine do you like?" I said, "I'm more of a beer person." And he says, I got one. You know what you should do? You need to go to Horton Ridge and get their stout. It's the Bar Dog Stout, and he says to me, "It's the best
good.
stout in the province." And I'm sitting there.
That's a gauntlet.
I'm looking at this 19-year-old nothing of a kid, and I'm like, "Sir, come on. I'm 40 something, and I have a beer show, and I drink a lot of craft beer. So you can't just tell me that it's the best stout in the province. I'm sorry. I will need to go and find out for myself." Went and got a can, drank it on the show, and damn it if Alex wasn't right. He was absolutely 100% on the ball. I was like, this is the best stout in the province. This is so good. So I love the fact that a place called the Malt House is successfully making beer after beer that is the personality. You can only call it malty. It is a malty beer, because part of me thought, all right, are you going to be the Malt House, but then you're just going to put out things that taste like super over hopped nonsense? So I'm kind of afraid of trying their IPA, but I'm going to have to do it eventually and find out what's going on. So I love the fact that their overall theme of all the beers they make is in their title.
Yeah.
You know,
but they
it's
also
like
have a variety there. Like they got the blondes, and they got the stouts, and they got the reds, and they're all over it. Yeah. And they do a lot of rotating taps as well. Like what I like about, there's a lot of things. I'm finding myself in Horton Malt Shop more and more. For a few reasons. If you can look at the tables on the right side of Ross.
Yeah, over there.
No, the other side. Whatever. That's a good work area. That's what I'm saying. That little stand right there is a perfect little spot. There's a plug right there. I bring my computer, and one of the things I like about Horton Malt Shop a lot is that they actually have a lot of non-alcoholic beers available, and I think more breweries ought to have non-alcoholic beers. Now, this isn't theirs; they don't themselves make a non-alcoholic, but they have a little non-alcoholic.
I noticed it today when I was buying one.
So this is, you mentioned Tata before, so this is the Tata Nomad. There we go. Got to keep it in front of me. This is one of they have like 3 or 4 non-alcoholics in that little non-alcoholic beer fridge. This is a Pilsner. I'm not going to crack into it right now, but big props for them to doing that, because I like the taste of beer, but I want to drive away and I want to be safe. And what I do is very important. So I can't mess around with that. So Horton Malt Shop, I can go have a couple of these non-alcoholic, and they taste pretty well. I know there's something missing. I know they're not quite the same. You can't. But the more non-alcoholic options, the better, in my personal opinion.
That's why you buy the cans and drive away. That's what I do. Drink at home. Because
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Because I know you say you're going to Horton Ridge more and more, but I have to drag myself there.
How
And
so?
because I hate the driveway and I hate the parking.
You get dust. There's no pavement whatsoever,
Yep.
and it does loop around. It's kind of tight,
And there's a
especially when
whole
it's rocking.
five
It gets busy.
5 parking spaces. Are there 5 tables?
There's like
There's
10 parking
significantly
spaces.
more tables than that. We tried to go one night because Jesse Potter was headlining an open mic night that was hosted
Yep.
by
Park on the road.
Okay, we did. And then you walked in, and like you said, as soon as you walk in the door, you realize the place is packed. Everyone's already, a butt is in every seat, and you're trying to make eyes with the server, trying to say, "Oh, could I get a? Could I have a?" And your only choice is to stand still in your one little 2-foot square area, because if you move from that area, it's gone. And meanwhile, you're also literally on the stage of anyone performing, because they're right there. Because if you look at this hallway here, it is L-shaped, and the entrance is in the armpit of the L. So when you come
Point to the door. Point to the door where you are. Where's the door?
Right
That
right
right,
over here.
right, exactly. That's the door.
Right over there.
And then on your
And you
other
come
way,
in and
there's
you're
more
here,
seating.
and
Yeah,
that way
and
is
the
the other
band is
hallway.
right there.
But if you put the band at the end of the hallway, then the people behind me couldn't hear it, and vice versa.
No.
So
Can't see 'em.
you have to have the band here in the elbow where the door is. And so everyone walks in and like, "Hey, I'm here for the whoops, all right, just just hand me the bass and I'll play." But you are right in the middle of the action, and it's so uncomfortable. And I don't understand why they designed it to be 2 hallways and not one
Well, because
open area.
live music, like, it's not an open venue. Like, I love the fact that they're supporting it, but it was an afterthought. It was point to where they have floor dried malted.
How
Like,
many
point where the
Tide
malt floor
Pods
is.
have you eaten if you are
None.
opening a brewery, and then after you do the whole thing, you think, "Oh, do you think we should have live music in here? Oh my God, we didn't even think live music in a brewery."
But they did do a better job though outside. You got to give them props for the outside area. Have you been there recently? They've expanded their outdoor seating, and there's a little spot there for a band or like a solo act to be up there on the hill, and it's nice. And you got issues with that too.
The only people in Nova Scotia who have got outdoor dining done correctly is Luckett's Vineyards, because they smartened up and glassed it off. Outdoor patios,
I was like outside, but not outside.
are not for this province. If it's
'Cause
summer,
the bugs?
it's raining. And if it's not summer, you don't want to be on a patio anyway.
No CMs will get you.
Yep, the bugs, the cold, the damp, the rain. It's not. I don't know who thought this was a good idea. Someone went to like Tahiti one too many times and said, "Ooh, sidewalk cafes. We should have more of those." And then someone tried to put little patio chairs on things, and realized that freezing drizzle at +1 degrees Celsius. Doesn't matter how many coffees you're drinking, it is miserable out there. Outdoor patio dining is the most. We waste a lot of money in Nova Scotia, but I will die on the hill of outdoor patios are a waste of money.
What they're doing very well at Horton Malt Shop are activities, events. This is an old photo, but over your head, where that chalkboard is, you just moved your head. That's now a screen, whatever, on the wall there. And it rotates through all their events that they have. And have you ever been to a murder mystery, Ross? Because I went to a murder mystery at Horton Malt Shop about a month ago or so. I had a great time. There was like 28 people, and it was sold out. And I had my character going into it, and then you get there, you get an envelope with some fake money and some instructions, and then like it's on, and I didn't know what to do at first. Yes, it was fake money though, and there's a murder halfway through. You've been to a murder mystery, I'm sure.
I've
But
been
to
to
have
some
it
really
at the
bad
brewery,
ones back in my undergrad days. People would try to
this was
organize them.
very well done, but that was just one of the multiple events that they had there. Mike Butler hosted a 90s dance. He was a DJ. So he was spinning the records. Is that what you do these days for a
it's
DJ?
not.
No,
He was
you don't do
pushing the
that.
buttons on the iPod. That's what he was doing.
Pushing the buttons on the iPod. But there was like other things happening there as well. So events, Horton Malt Shop, they are doing a great job at like just bringing more life. Every Saturday they have a space boggy people. Who am I saying?
Space patty bog people. Wait. Yeah.
There we go. Thank you. So that's, I think, every Saturday from 3 to 5.
I have
And
brought
then
that
also
from
Del
the
Haven plays every
recesses of my
Sunday
brain.
from 3 to 5. And that's just like people jamming a little bit, and you're sitting there and you're just having a good time. You're listening to beautiful music. And so that's just their regular things on Saturdays and Sundays during the day, and everything that they'll do in the evenings. So anyway, did you crush that? You're done your Horton
I did. It's
Malt House.
so good. It is very, very deliciously tasty. I just realized.
What would you rank it out of 10? Would you put a number on that?
Well, the trick is I don't know what it is. Because it just seems to be, this is a malty, copper-colored ale. And I'm like, yep. I think that's amazing. That's delicious. My problem is I don't actually understand what it is.
I'm just going for like, do I enjoy it? My level of enjoyment scale, because I can't rate this versus other malt houses or
colored ale
beers, but I'm going a high, like 8.8 on this. I'm digging this malt house.
I would go higher than that because, well, I'm enjoying it more than I enjoyed the blonde. But the thing was, the blonde had to be ranked via blonde ales. So is this to be ranked via other malty style beers? This is some nines. This is some delicious nines. There's nothing wrong with this. This is my problem, and this is where I tried to come up with if you are not giving it a 10 out of 10, why? What's missing? What are you hoping to get out of this that's not there?
I guess so. I guess I'm just trying to like leave some wiggle room for
you and Ian
more
wiggle
wowed.
room, but I'm still kind of no. This is it is near perfection, and this is what happened with the Bar Dog Stout. And now I got to go back and check and see what I gave the Bar Dog Stout.
Do you keep track?
Oh, heck yes.
Do you have a spreadsheet?
Oh,
Do you have an Excel spreadsheet and keep track of your stats?
Google spreadsheets. I don't pay Microsoft money. I apparently did not write down what we gave the Bar Dog Stout, so I can't tell you what it was. That's fine.
Have you ever chatted with Al Stewart, the fella who started Horton Ridge Malt House?
Maybe.
Great guy.
I have reached out to their social media and their the email contact and all sorts of things, and I invited them to come and talk and be a part of this. And I want to talk to everybody. I get a lot of nothing back from everybody, and which leads me back to I don't think Valley businesses check their emails, or I don't seem interested.
Or they don't like you. I don't know.
They don't like
me.
No one likes me. I don't know. That's probably part of it.
I got it before we move on to the next one, because I think we got the third one to get to.
I'll
Church
give you a
Brewing.
number.
Yeah, you got to give me a number, and then I want to tell you
complicated fractions. This is what I do. I go up until I'm uncomfortable with the number. So I'm like 9, heck okay. Yes. 9-1, yes. 9-2, I would give this a 9-2, and then I'm like 9-3, maybe not a 9-3.
Looking for wiggle room.
Maybe
looking
not a
for
9-3.
Wiggle room.
So this is your 9-2-5 or a 9-2.
Solid.
9-2-5.
Well, I mean, I went 8-8, so it's a very delicious beer. I like how you described it, because you've been doing this for a while. You're good at that. But there's a lot of taste going on with that one. Last year, and I'm going to forget the name of the event, but it was like Beer Days or something like that. And they had a few events.
You can't just call it a Beer Days. That's
Beer Days.
No, that's not an event. That's just what you do.
If I search in the emails, whatever.
Shipman is playing Eaton House at a hockey game.
Okay, so the Bluff Road, the Bluff Road between Avonport and Hansport, where the Blue Beach Fossil Museum is on that road?
Yes, okay, yes.
So there's this little beach with the monument there, and right at Avonport. Anyway, so you park there, and then you walk the beach, took a right, and you walked on the beach at low tide out that direction. There's a lighthouse access to the spot as well, but they put up tents on the ocean floor, and they served their beer, and they had food. And I was there to drive people there with Where's That Tours, but because
Horton
we
did
do the
that?
ghost walks. Yeah, Horton Malt House did that last
Okay,
summer.
okay,
And so
okay.
it's one of the gigs that I got to participate in last
Now
summer.
that's following on the West Hants thing where they go over to Burnt Coat Head and have like the full course dinners and whatnot.
Very similar. Now, the
Okay.
tickets for this was not quite $1,700 for a couple. It was much more
Boo.
affordable than that.
Think of all the.
But it's
the
a similar concept. We actually had to
amps that could've
move
gone.
the tent. As the event started, the tide was way out, and as the time progressed, we actually had to move the tent because the tide was coming in on us. So we ended right by the shoreline, and I got to share some of my ghost stories with them. So it was a very
that's
memorable
nice.
event, and Al and Jim Murphy was part of that, and whoever else organized it also.
Yep.
I think they're going to do something similar
I think that's
this summer as
amazing.
well. So if you're not following Horton Ridge Malt House, then do it, because they got a lot of cool events going on. Third beer?
Third beer. Yeah, okay. So I gave that one a good one. But third of all, and I was excited about this one. So the Church Brewing Company out of Wolfville, Nova Scotia. Lots of things that we could talk about there. But they have two of their beers seem to be available in cans and on tap at most of the wineries available. This is one of the two of them, because the other one was the 902 IPA, and I have enjoyed that one less. And we just loved the heck out of that malt ale, and so I'm glad we went dark beers, because this, I've had this one before. The Church Married to the Sea Porter is a beer that I've had and enjoyed before. Here it is in its dark black can. Ooh, actually, yes, here we go. The other thing that I need to do, dark black, as opposed to light black. You know what I'm talking about. Where church. The United
Can't fit this all in a can.
Church.
Our first tall boy of the evening.
Yeah.
It is
and
great. Oh, and I'm a horrible pourer. No, we're not going to watch that.
It's one of those things
lot ahead.
where sometimes you get the tall boy and you get the tall glass, but this one, I did not have a Church Brewery glass just yet. So here's the one that I picked up
Oh, look at
today.
that.
It's this nice little, what was
Do you
this?
have quite the collection at this point? You must have quite the collection.
In my, in my Google spreadsheet of beers, I have added a column for my collection of glasses. I am up to 28 unique breweries. I have the glass
Technology. There you are.
from those. Now, hopefully I didn't lose everybody, but yeah. So I'm up to
I'm
28,
still with you.
28 glasses from 28 of the Nova Scotian breweries. Always expanding. But this is
I just looked online. There's roughly 70 craft breweries in Nova Scotia. 70.
even with a few of them closing down just in the last month. We were sad.
Which ones closed down the last month?
Muscadabbit. What was his Harbor Brewing? He was very small. There was a very small brewing company out of Muscadabbit called Harbor Brewing. It was just out of his garage. But the Brightwood Brewing out of Dartmouth, they stopped shop, and Off Track Brewing out of Bedford, they also closed up.
There's so much competition, right? Like,
I don't know. I think it's more than that. The huge expansion happened, and it happened at an interesting time. And honestly, when the pandemic hit, COVID hit, and everything shrunk. And then when that happened, a number of people lost their jobs, and several breweries were created during the beginning of COVID. And a couple of them have closed down. Serpent Brewing didn't continue. They were one in Spryfield. They started during COVID, and they closed up shop just last year. But Old Biddies is one that started out, and it was sometimes it was just people saying, you know what, we've been brewing this, and I think we're brewing good beer, and we lost our, we can't work because COVID, so screw it, let's just sell beer, and they took off, and it was a wonderful success stories. There's a couple of success stories of the pandemic and some breweries. But since then, I think the post-pandemic, I don't want to really say the word economic collapse. What's a better word for that?
Pickup?
Disadvantaged lack of money.
It's Nova Scotia.
No one's really going out anymore. And I feel like that's hitting a lot of them hard.
Yeah.
Disposable
Yeah,
funds.
have you noticed that life's costing a little bit more money?
No. Me? No, God, no. Not a bit.
Like, I went to the NSLC and I want to get a can of beer. Pretty hard now to get a can of beer for less than $5.
Mm-hmm.
And that hurts me. Like, you crossed over the $5 is your cap threshold,
Well,
and now it's like 5 something. And no, I don't want, I want it to be a $5 bill should get me a can of beer, because my God, that's a lot of money already.
You're the one saying that you go in and you're sitting there in the establishments, well, having your non, but when someone pours a pint and brings it over, Ian says, let's go out and let's have a pint. Ian and I go out for a pint. When the bill comes along, there you go, $11
For a pint.
for for one glass, and I say, "Woo, this is why I'm filling the glasses with the cans at home, because it's a little over $5 a glass, but it's not 12."
Yeah, I mean, I'd hate to have a restaurant. There's so many costs and risks involved. And if, people are concerned about drinking and driving. And so if you have that second beer, so one will go out for one beer. So if you're only going to get the customer for one beer, if you're only charging them $5, well, that's not going to pay your bills. So I do get that. But I'm talking about going to the NSLC to come out with a can of beer. I don't like spending more than $5 now, but that's the going rate.
The Church Married to the Sea, 473 milliliter glass. Do you want to see what fit in my brand new 16-ounce glass from the Church Brewing Company?
That is right at the top there. That is very
right
impressive.
at the top. It is brimming. But before we have a good old schneef of that, I got to tell you, the Married to the Sea Porter, Married to the Sea, doesn't really have anything on its on the can. Doesn't describe anything on this jet
really
black
doesn't.
can with the red writing. Oh wait, no. A lager inspired by the porters made in Germany in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Okay.
Yep.
On the website and on the can, 3 words: "We belong together." Is this beer advocating that I walk into the sea and drown myself? It's a simple question. Just a yes or no will suffice.
Yes, Ross.
Okay, well, fair enough.
It is insinuating that you kill yourself
If I like
going
this-
out in fashion with a beer in hand, walking into the Wolfville Harbor.
I've seen that sometimes. People getting married down in Jamaica and stuff, and they're standing like hip deep in the water with a beer in their hand, and I think, there you go. That's what would mix well with that first one, the Sea Level Blonde, salt water.
We were missing something.
We need some salty beers. That's what's missing. Church Porter. You all
Hey,
set for this
buddy.
one?
Cheers to you, my friend.
Cheers.
Married to the Sea.
Oh, this smells smoky. I love this. Oh.
Now, dark beers are normally my jam, and that's why I was very excited to have this many years ago for the first time. 2019 is when Church Brewing first opened, and they've done a great job.
They didn't have this on tap at first. They had what was the one they were going to? There was something called the Abyss, but it was from someone else.
I don't remember this.
And then they finally had their beers, and Al Smith and I, Al Smith of Quick as a Wink fame right now, we went and we tried a flight of their beers, and it was quite good. We did enjoy the porter. Ian and I have been back for flights since then. I have.
You've done a live stream from there as well. You've set up the little camera within.
That was
Church
when we
Brewing.
were trying to go on location. And then the problem was, well, it was during the pandemic, and we realized, you know what? You know what's not open at 8 p.m. on a Tuesday night? Breweries. So we thought we'd turn that around and invite them, since they're not open, to come on and talk on our show. And apparently, the other thing that breweries don't do is check their emails. So it's a long. We're in it for the long game.
Let's say you have 10 invites to breweries to be part of your show, you get what, one response out of the 10? Maybe?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll give it 1 in 10 because I obviously didn't email all 70 in 1 week. So as we sort of I invite 4 and hear nothing. So I invite another 4 and hear one thing. And then we have someone on and then I keep going, I keep expanding to, oh, right, I haven't reached out to them. I haven't reached out to them. And yeah, that's a different spreadsheet of all the breweries that I've reached out to and ones who have or have not responded, but we've had people, and even then having people back on the show. We went to Roofhound and talked to Les.
Les Barr's got a brand new podcast studio. Have you seen his podcast studio? Like he's doing podcasts now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, no,
I need to
one thing Les is doing. Yeah. So what do you think to the old Married to the Sea, man? You've had a few stouts in your day. You're going back at it.
First of all, it's a porter. But it's I don't want to say it's stout-like. This reminds me of, okay, there's was it McCausland's oatmeal stout?
They do a dark one. Yeah, they do.
And that was usually my go-to, especially when I was in New Brunswick there for some fringe festivals. And if someone had a McCausland's oatmeal stout, I said, fine, just give me that, please. Just anything that's not just, the Molson Canadian or whatever else they've got. I give Molson Canadian such a hard time, but it honestly deserves it. So this tastes like that McCausland oatmeal stout because it was a bit of a watery stout. But as I'm learning, a porter is not supposed to be a thick stout. So I love the fact that this
porter is lighter than a stout. Is that your understanding, your expertise?
As far as I'm concerned, yes. A porter is a stout without much body to it. You know, because a stout it's like drinking a meal in a glass, whereas a porter is a beer made of dark malts or dark grains, dark malts, and it's in that kind of fashion. But it is tasty.
It's funny how Guinness is, everyone knows Guinness as the stout, like it's got wonderful market share, branding, marketing, whatever. But like, what is that macro porter that everyone goes to? I don't know the answer to that question.
I would have said Uncle Leo's smoked porter for a while. There's another brewery that shut down.
Uncle Leo's.
But just before that, they're out in Pictou County, and they're much like the sea level Millstone Harvest Brew House that we were talking about. Uncle Leo's brewery. No, wait. Uncle Leo's beer. And then underneath that, it said by the Whiffin Brewing Company. So the brewing company was the Whiffin Brewing Company, and that was their family name, the Whiffins.
Whiffins.
But they called their beer Uncle Leo's beer because the guy, what was his first name? I can't remember. And the brewer at the time,
Leo?
Whiffin. No, he had an Uncle Leo.
Oh, okay. Fair.
Who made the home brew, and he grew up loving that, and he tries to match his recipe to his Uncle Leo's home brew, things like that. But his smoked porter, the Uncle Leo's smoked porter, which was one of the best things in the LC for years until they closed down, I want to say about a year and a half ago. It won. It won a Canadian. It was one of the only Nova Scotian beers that won a Canadian Beer Award for best porter, and it was delicious. This is comparable. Not quite as smoky sweet. Do you feel do you get the smoky flavor? You get the kind of feeling that you're getting like a roast. I don't know how to describe it. Like a roasted, like a campfire kind of taste. You get any of that? And then there's also this sweetened, almost a dark chocolate kind of flavor in there as well. So there's the sweet flavor and the smoky flavor, and these are all deliciously good things that you're getting out of this.
Yeah, I really do like the taste of this beer. It's
I am happy that all three of these are on tap. There's no better representation, especially of like Valley beers. Wait. What's my favorites? Honestly, they should get the Wayfarer's Southbound Lemon Radler. That's easily the best radler in the province. But of these beers, having them at the wineries, I'm super impressed that they've got this collection at Luckett's. Because that's
Again, if you're gonna drink, they want to see local options on menus. When you go to restaurants around here, if you're a restaurateur, do a better job finding the local stuff to put on your menu.
Because you go into poor King's Arms Common, and I'm sorry, it's like Joey Bishop. I know you're trying. You're trying, but it's just Propeller Galaxy and a couple of schoolhouses, not even the good ones. They've got what's that weird Martok one? They've got some Martok-y IPA, but it's just that stuff that's hopped to the nines, and it's not good. It's just hoppy. And boo.
Maybe it's a price thing. Maybe they get a better deal from the Labatts and the Molsons of the world, and they can offer things with $1 cheaper. And let's face it, when you're running a restaurant, every little $1 cheaper goes a long way. And we have no idea, because I'm not going to take that risk. So I don't know. It's easy for us to chirp on the sidelines. But all I'm saying is that guests want to taste and eat flavor from the area they're visiting. So when you look at a menu and you see local options, I love that the Port Pub has Wayfarer's beer available in the Port Pub, right?
Oh, I didn't know
it's
that.
not
That's
just
great.
sea level. Like, that's what people want to see. They want to see that collaboration, working together. The fact that there's 11 wineries surrounding us, yes, they compete for that individual day-to-day dollar, but collectively they understand they're growing an industry.
Mm-hmm.
So they're all busier because they all exist close in proximity to one another.
And the breweries you said,
let's celebrate.
6, you said? What's that? So Patty's, Wayfarer's,
Okay, so Patty's,
Sea Level,
3 in Wolfville.
Yeah, Horton Ridge. Well, you're not counting Saltbox. Saltbox is a tap room.
I'm counting Saltbox. Well, I'm counting Saltbox.
Okay. Even though it's a tap room from Mahone Bay, but okay, fine. And then do you go out to Kingston Greenwood for Roofhound? Is that
no? Again, Millstone, Wayfarers, Patty's, Saltbox, Church, and Horton. That's 6.
Who was I missing out of that? Church, I think I was missing out of that, despite the fact that I'm drinking their beer right now and it is delicious.
Married to the Sea.
Porter.
So fun facts about
porter.
Church Brewing. Personal connections. I was on the original work crew. I'd never been a server before. Have you ever been a server, Ross? Have you ever gone to a table and said, "Hi, I'm Ross. I'm here to take your order"? Has that ever been you? You would remember if that was the case.
I should remember.
You're not that old.
No, I never have. I worked in a restaurant.
You've
but
never been a server.
I was dish room and I was chop table. That was it.
Where?
I have a face for radio. Look at this. I'm not. Oh, this was at a now defunct Pizza Hut down in Dartmouth.
Okay, all right. Well, I thought I'd have a lot of transferable skills being a tour guide, and I was given the feedback more than once during my very short stint being a server at Church Brewing that you talk a little too much at the tables. And so, I was trying to give them friendly local advice, I guess. I was trying to read the table. I didn't try to overextend my welcome, but perhaps they were on to something. I don't know. And it was so busy. They opened up in January of 2019. My dad got a little sick that time of the year, so I went back home to Vancouver, and after that, came to be, I came back and they held my job for me, which was amazing. I actually did, though. There was a New Year's Eve event on New Year's of December 31st, 2018, and I was the one who put the first drink order through the system at Church Brewing. So I had the very first. So I got that claim to fame.
Drink order, well done.
The inaugural drink order came through me. I got the tip on that one, right? But they held my position for me, which was amazing. And I was doing my thing for a little bit, and after a couple of months, they said, "Hey, Jeremy, are you having fun?" And I said no, because it was stressful. I wasn't having fun, and so as soon as I came to that resolution, that was the end of it. So we ended cordially. I love Church Brewing, and I'm so glad I'm no longer a server, not just there, but anywhere. I don't think that's a position for me.
I've been in a couple of times, and I like it. It gets very busy because it's got the novelty factor, and I mean I love their beers. I would love to go there, but it's not. I mean, look at this. Look at this ornate,
It's
beautiful, domed
They
area.
spare no expense. It's stunning when you walk in.
Too posh for me. I don't belong here. I belong in a basement that is full of like these little rounded granite
better than that,
stones down
Ross.
No, no, I can't.
Believe in
handle this.
yourself.
I'm vaguely
You can handle church.
agoraphobic for this, but it's and it kind of sucks because I have accidentally befriended the owners.
The Haysums are wonderful people.
They
Maybe
are, they're great.
accidentally.
I went to high school
With them?
with
No.
Aaron.
Oh, did you?
But even though we went to a tiny high school out in the middle of bum squat nowhere, Nova Scotia, we had a graduating class of 170 people or something like that. We
Fair size.
didn't even we didn't know each other. We didn't notice each other. We ran in two completely separate circles. She had her crew, and I was kind of dipping my toes in a couple of different social circles and whatnot at the
This
time.
is back when you had hair.
That too, yeah. I had long hair, so I was, the long-haired hippie and stuff. But so I was
No one would ever
the
recognize you now.
long-haired hippie, and I was adopted by the potheads, and they'd go and have parties on the weekend. But I was also in the school band, so I was doing with the nerds and the French immersion kids and stuff like that. So I knew some weird circles that did not overlap. But years and years and years later, our daughters are in school together. They know each other, and they're on the same volleyball team. So we have these things and like, hey, we've got a volleyball tournament in Yarmouth. I'm like, oh, Yarmouth. And we drive down to Yarmouth, and then we go out to
long drive.
We go out to Tuscot Falls, and I say to the wife, hey, we should go see Tuscot Falls because let's
There's
go
a
check out
brewery
the
there.
tap room. We sit down, we buy some beers, and when I go in to check out Tuscot Falls, who is sitting right there? Matt Haysom. And I'm like, hey, how's it going? And we talk yada yada, how are the girls doing and this and that for about 5 seconds, and then so beer. Why don't we talk about the beer here? And we just talk forever. So I keep saying that to Matt that I want to have you on the show. I want to talk about stuff. We don't even need to talk about the church. We can talk about everything and anything.
He'd be really good on this podcast.
And
He really would be.
But I feel really bad because I feel like he'd be either limited to talking about his own brewery, or when we talk about other stuff, he might have a little bit of a guilt complex. Maybe I shouldn't give my opinions of other breweries' beers because it'll sound like it's coming from a place of bias because I have one. So I put it out there, and I ask him every now and then. I say, you should come on and we'll just kind of have a conversation, talk over things. And what are your favorite brews and beers? I'd talk over another 3 Church Brewery beers. They've got a pretty wide selection, I think. It's not like Lund's Mill 20.
Well, they do. No, they have a lot. Yeah, the another one with a great selection, by the way, Talking Valley, is that smokehouse, the Nano Smokehouse in Burke. They have an incredible selection, being so tiny. But point to either shoulder over top of you, because where the hymnal, what the church did there.
Oh,
like
that was so
point
cool.
to point to what I'm talking about. Isn't that so cool? Like you see right that one and that one. Yeah. So that when you go to church, that's normally the songs that you're gonna sing for that morning or whatever. And so I don't know if it's hymns.
There you go.
I don't know if it's blasphemous or not. I don't know, but it's a creative use of that space that they put now their beer selections within that. So I think that was original to the church. I myself never went to church within that place, but when I was serving there, more than one guest said I was baptized right there. So it was kind of a trip for them.
Maybe the weird part of going to the church brewery for me is you being a server, you would be familiar with the downstairs, which is...
Well, that's where the kitchen is. Yeah.
It was where the after-school program of the Wolfville Children's Center was.
Okay, where like Laurie St. Amore had the children's center?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's the after-school program was down there?
Let's see, out that
door right there, and down the stairs.
There was a service entrance,
That's right.
and then a little downstairs slope, and then an entry into the basement. So this basement right under here, that was where I picked up my stepkids for 3 years.
It's kind of a
Out the
funny
back
little
of the
anecdote.
United Church there in Wolfville, because United Church, that's where you book your
Hey,
space.
I pulled up their website here in regards to this church. Did you know that the original church was built prior to 1840 as a Presbyterian church? Is located on Prospect Street. Is a wooden structure. It was relocated, so picked up and moved in 1885 to that location where church is. But there's a fire in 1913 that happened, so the church was no more. So it was rebuilt with stones from White Rock, apparently. And Andrew Cobb, and this is important too, the Cobb window, which is essentially the Church Brewing logo right there. So there's two prominent Cobb windows with this design. They're still in the church, and it's stunning when the light comes in there, especially in the golden hours, just like such a homey, warms you in, hugs you right down when you're in the church at that time of the day. But the Cobb windows are very important. Anyway, Andrew Cobb was an architect, and he worked with Charles Wright, which we talk about in the Wolfville Ghost Walk. His funeral happened in 1929. He was killed on the tracks outside of Falmouth.
I cannot let you start going off into Wolfville ghost stories.
I won't. I'll stop myself right now. But anyway, when the Hastings came about, the website says the church was purchased by the Church Brewing Company in September 2017, and the owners and co-founders began working with local project managers, designers, architects, and contractors. Great support from town of Wolfville, and the restoration project started. I know they dropped a lot of money onto this church. From what I gather is that it looks super sound, right? All the stone, that's church is gonna be there for a long time. But when they dug down under the ground, I guess it wasn't built with weeping tiles. And I'm no architect. I'm not exactly sure what that means. But well, it helps with the drainage, I think. And so the undercarriage, what was under the ground, the stones weren't in the best shape that you think that they would be. So they had to also spend a lot more money that they weren't expecting to spend. And now that church, after all those renos,
undercarriage joke in there somewhere that I just cannot think of right now.
Church is going to stand for many more years to come now because of their dedication to it. So thank you for that, because what a huge asset. When you're coming into town and that patio hits you, and it's open now, the patio is now open now for the summer. It just sets a tone. It sets a vibe. You've arrived in Wolfville, you've arrived in Wolf Vegas, and this is what we have to offer. It's a stunning location, and they've done such a good job over the years. So I'm gushing a little bit, but thank you, Hastings. Right?
I'm hoping it does last and continue to be as successful as it is. I mean, it has been a number of years, and there is still. I still have to tell people, oh, you're looking to go to the church tonight? Well, did you make reservations?
Yes, exactly.
And then I follow it up with just about every other place in this town, in Wolfville, you don't need a reservation. You never need one.
Well, Le Caveau is not in Wolfville, so
not,
yeah,
right?
I guess not. Yeah.
And like St. Patrick's Day at Patty's at the Irish pub, maybe.
Troy,
but I think
Troy sometimes
it
reso with Troy.
Yeah, it's getting there, and I'm just as enthusiastic about that. They deserve just as much for what they do there, and there's a lot going on at the same time. We could wax poetic about.
Have you noticed we've lost a few restaurants in Wolfville? Like it's I was someone called me. Like they emailed me the other day saying I saw a blog post from 2017 where you were offering food tours of Wolfville, and they were right. Valley Family funded a little blog post back then.
Well,
and now, so I was organizing a food tour for them in a couple of months. And so that's coming to be, we want to come to church as one of our stops, but we've lost Terra Rosa Tortilla just recently. We've lost a Naked Crepe, which is a huge loss. So hopefully they'll find another location.
Yeah. Is Naked Crepe still on hiase?
I think they're hiatus as they're looking for another location.
Terra Rosa,
so fingers crossed.
I think that's just that place is constantly rotating through flaky people that just think they want to make $1 million by owning a restaurant. And
I wasn't here at the days of Shea Levine, so that's before my time. But then it was a Tempest, and then Tempest had the fire, and then Michael Howell renovated everything, and it became an open kind of one floor concept. Then Front Central came about, and what was after Front and Central? There was something, and then Terra Rosa Trattoria.
I thought it was Trattoria first, and then Terra Rosa after that. I don't know.
Okay, well, so very similar
But-
response. So it could be right, but you know what? I don't want to speak ill of the dead or whatever, but when they were renovating, when Terra Rosa Trattoria came in and they're renovating the place, they painted it black and they had some red trim. They didn't finish the red trim. If you look at the building, there's some spots where the red trim just stops and they didn't finish it.
Yeah.
And as soon as I noticed they didn't finish it, to me, that was like an indicator. Like, well, wait a second. You came so close, but why didn't you just finish the deal?
You just finished talking about the effort and money that went into what they did to the church. This is why it's successful, because effort.
The church did not stop with the trim paint. They finished with the trim paint, and they got right there and beyond.
Red trim paint. They finished it, and it is successful because they have passion for what they're doing. There's a number of places in town where Troy was. Do you remember when it was the Mud Creek Bar and Grill?
Oh, yeah, that was a guy named Mark who pissed off a lot of people in this town. Yes. I liked him personally, but I never had to deal with him.
Why was that one different? Because that was a guy who didn't care about owning a restaurant, didn't care about owning a bar. What did he care about?
Well, making money.
There.
And he was from Alberta, and I don't know, it didn't last too long.
When you come into that town and your only goal is to make money, you will fail. If your goal is to provide delicious, amazing food and amazing experiences to the people that live there, Naked Crepe, Church Brewery, Troy, then it will continue no matter what. 3 fires, 4 fires, don't care. It will always continue. But if you're just there like, I am owning a restaurant and therefore I'll make money, and then someone says, well, what do you serve at your restaurant? I'd have to check with my assistant manager. I don't know what the heck we serve. Food, stuff. It's a lack of attention to detail. It's a lack of focus on what you're actually doing. And so if you're just kind of rolling through a business, it's not the town that will allow you to do that.
You can't just roll into Wolfville and think, University Town, I'm going to make my bucks. All the students are going to come support me. No. If the students figure out who you are and start to support you, that's a bonus. You have to appeal to the locals. You have to appeal to everybody. You can't come up with your elbows up. This is small time rural Nova Scotia. Everyone knows one another. You can't be aggressive, but you have to also
it's
be
way more
enough.
Complicated than small town. Everybody knows each other.
I never want to be a restaurateur. That's too challenging, too many risks. But I want everyone to succeed as a tour operator. I want to take people to all these awesome places that are doing really well. So I'm going to root for everybody. But I do understand we have to just continue to try harder. We finish the trim. Finish painting your trim. Speaking
of painting the trim on your new van, tell me about that and tell me about where it's at tours.
Damn. Okay, well, thank you for this. If I can plug myself, this is an hour and 40 minutes into our podcast. So if anyone is still listening at this point, amazing. Yeah, I haven't been paying attention to who's actually tuned into us or not. But Where's That Tours, I started that 7 years ago, and I have one van. I have had one van up until now. It was actually my parents' vehicle, a Honda Odyssey Touring from 2006. So the darn thing still looks mint. It's still wonderful, but it wasn't getting any younger. And I still have it. So it's my second vehicle, but now my new vehicle is a 2024 Honda Odyssey Touring Black Edition. So that seats 7 and the old one seats 6. So now my capacity is increased to 13. So Where's That Tours is now able to tour small private custom groups of up to 13 guests. And we had that the other day, and I tell you, what a blast. I have a couple of drivers on the roster. And if the world can travel, they're coming to Wolfville, they're coming to this end of the valley. They have heard that we're delicious, and now we can deliver an amazing plethora of options to go to. Breweries, wineries, distilleries, cideries, gardens, and museums, and more.
I think I'm happy to go as high as an 8.75. No, wait, 8.95. I'm wrong. I wanted to go as close to 9, but not quite reaching it.
Not quite a 9?
I don't know why. Something about it. I think I just don't like porters. I need more body. I need more body than what is available.
You're rather a stout guy than a porter guy?
Yeah, I think so. Or like a really good like.
I'm gonna go I'm gonna go a little bit lower than you. I'm gonna go do like a 8.72. You know, like I like this beer. It's good. It's a good beer. But I need that wiggle room because I know there's a better porter out there. This is a very good porter. Again, not offended by whatsoever. I've had many Married to the Seas.
I haven't had
would
many
I have
better than
3?
this.
You have not, or you have?
I don't think I have. Not many.
Well, then why are you not in the 9s? Why you're not in the 9s then?
Because it's missing something.
Okay.
Something's missing from that. It was. Do you know what? Maybe I might just be too picky, but it was too easy to drink.
Well, you finished yours a lot faster than I finished mine.
See? Easy. Too easy. I should still be sitting here thinking about many of the choices I've made in my life. That's what's missing. This beer is not filling me with regret, and I dislike that.
Ross, I've had a wonderful evening with you. I've crushed 3 beers in less than 2 hours, so I am actually feeling this a little bit. I'm glad I'm in the comforts of my own house where I don't have to go anywhere.
Video chat. It's the way of the future. I'll
Power
sell you on it one of
technology.
these days. Absolutely. Hey, I want to thank Jeremy for being here. Where it's at, tours.com or CA, try both. And you can book tours of up to 13 people apparently now, which is a really great thing to do. But Ian and I are usually here. Well, I'm here every week, and Ian is often here with me every week. Tuesday nights, 8 p.m. Live on the Facebook. No, not on the Facebook page. On the YouTube page, youtube.com/@drinknsdry. You can find our podcast in all podcasty places. You can find a little bit more of the exact site itself at drinkns.unsupervised.beer. But thanks for joining us, and thank you again to Jeremy for being here this week, and we'll see you again next week.
Ross, you're a good guy. Thanks for being a ghost in the ghost walks all these years. Yes, we don't have our tickets up online yet, but we will. And buddy, thanks for having me. And if you're going to drink local.
Have a good night. Good night.